Hello everyone, welcome back. So, I have been gone for a week if you didn't notice, and I also sound like this because I'm sick. So the full update is on my Patreon, that'll be going up today as well. But today we are talking about a very small book because I was like, you know what, I need an easy quick read while I'm sick after the chaos of the last week. So, we got this book to talk about today. So this is The Four Agreements, and I'm gonna mispronounce the name, but it looks like Toltec. I know that's probably not how it's pronounced. Wisdom Book, A Practical Guide to Personal Freedom by Don Miguel Ruiz. Again, I'm not good at names, but this is a very well-known book for a lot of pagans and all of the New Age community. So this is a small book, coming in at about 140 pages-ish. And so the premise of this book is that there are 4 belief systems that you must use, and therefore it will fix your life. The 4 are pretty simple. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. Always do your best. Now, honestly, on paper, that doesn't sound terrible. It sounds like it's a great idea, but a lot of it, it never actually told you what to do. And I've noticed this with a lot of the self-help books. They kind of paint with very broad strokes when they give this advice. And it's really not applicable, and it really kind of has a very narrow path that people could take to actually have this implemented. And honestly, some of this stuff, it's just one of those where it's like, it doesn't leave room for the nuance of life. It doesn't leave room for anything that's outside of the black and the white spectrum, where it's either this or it's this. It leaves nothing for the beautiful color of the rainbow, of anything that's in between the two. Like, that's where most of life exists, and this book does not give credit for that space. The thing I really didn't love about this book is that it is very New Age in that, and that's how a lot of the New Age books tend to be that I've come across. It's very black or white. It's very bad or it's good. And it's only good if it's in their specific narrative, and I don't really agree with that, and it's very much this like very toxic positivity mindset. The other thing I didn't really like about it, and that I've noticed it comes up occasionally in the New Age community, it kind of varies. Sometimes they don't really go that route, they just go with more like creator universe thing, but some of the New Age really drives home like Christian ideals, and this book fell into that category. I thought it wouldn't because of, again, I don't know how to say this word, but Toltec? That's what it looks like, that's how we're saying it. He was saying that these beliefs come from this old religion, and it was, I think, around somewhere in Mexico, like that general, like Central America area, if I remember right. And it was like, oh, well, maybe it's like an ancient kind of concept that they're bringing into the modern, but then all of the emphasis was really on Christian ideas. For example, we're living in hell right now. Our very existence is hell, which honestly, all I could think of is the good place, and how that world, in a way, is probably the closest that we can get to saying that our lives are hell, because that is 100% how I think it would actually play out if you wanted to fall into those beliefs. So basically the book is saying we're living in the bad place, and the only way to get out of that and to get to heaven, but then it also talks about having like the ascension thing, which is more of like the Buddhist and like Hindu and stuff kind of beliefs, where like you ascend from the reincarnation cycles and stuff. So it kind of kept mixing the two, but then it's like to reach heaven, even if it's heaven on earth, or transcended, like you don't have to live this life anymore thing. And I was like, I don't love that imagery. It also had a few passages here and there that was like very, very Christian. And again, I don't do Christian books. That kind of content doesn't stay on my shelves. That's a personal choice, but it's an instant turnoff for me, because he does talk about things, like there was one passage, I didn't take a lot of notes because honestly I feel like I got run over by a truck, but there is one part in here that he was literally like, this is fact that Jesus was around 2,000 years ago, and I'm like, but no, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And there was just a few passages where just the way he describes it is just so Christian, and I don't love that, and I don't like books that are like that. And then on top of that, all of the other stuff from this book, I'm really surprised how much this is promoted in the community. There have been so many people that are like, this is the book, man, you gotta read this book, this is it. And I don't love it at all, actually. Because the way he tells you to do things is to basically just don't do it that way, do it this way. And that's not how the human brain works, that's not how society works, and he, again, doesn't leave any room for nuance in the world. There is no room between black or white. It's just one or the other. And a lot of this, like don't take things personally. And he did kind of allude to like even abuse, like don't take it personal. And you're like, I'm gonna take that personal. Like there's just different stuff in here that I was just like, you know, I'm gonna pass on all of this, and if anything, I'm gonna go read the Havamal again and compare it, because while that has a couple problematic sentences, for the most part it's pretty solid advice. And like the parts that are pretty problematic, you have to question from the Havamal is like, how much is a Christian influence, and also just like the time it was written, because like it has a couple passages where like you can't trust women, and you're like, no, okay dude, your fragile ego from like eons ago, centuries ago. But other than that, like that book still has some pretty solid advice. That this book I was just like, man, I need the other one. The other one has way more solid advice than this. So anyways, this is a book I bought used a few years ago because again, it was really popular in the community. A lot of people said that this is one of those books you need to have on your shelves, and I was like, but why? And so I bought it from one of our local used bookstores out here, and I don't think I'll be keeping it, honestly. If the very least, it'll end up on the banished books list, but with it being so Christian in a lot of it, I don't know that I want to keep it. But it's also referenced so much, so I'm like, I don't know, well, am I gonna need it again? Much like one of the other books we talked about recently, where it was like the Western Mysteries something book, that one. It's like on the same level where I'm like, do I donate it? Do I keep it? I don't know. So I'm debating on it, but I gave it like a 2 out of 5 star, only because it would be helpful for people who are really into like The Secret and other kind of concepts like that, where it's really focused on like straight positivity, everything is your fault, and if you just think positively, it's gonna manifest perfectly. But if you, like there was one that other people have made the quote for, where he talks about like, oh, what is it? Let's find it. So I got this quote from a different review. It's Holly. Holly on Goodreads mentions this. An example, I see a friend and I give him an opinion that just popped into my mind. I say, I see that kind of color in your face in people who are going to get cancer. If he listens to the word and if he agrees, he'll have cancer in less than a year. And I'm like, that's 100% not how that works at all. And there's a difference between like your experience of like you've seen people with like an aura or just kind of a vibe of like, wow, a lot of people I've noticed when I see that color on them, they tend to have that, and it's like, hey, maybe like kind of get some scans just to make sure if they're open to that kind of a conversation, or you just ask how they're feeling overall. But that's more of like the intuitive psychic thing, and not necessarily because you said that they're going to get cancer. That's not how that works. And more often than not, it's usually they either are going to get it or you picked up on it before it happened, but you thinking it and them accepting your words is gonna make it manifest. Because if I could do that, I could undo a bleeding disorder that I have. That's not how it works. Like, it's just not a reality. And it's stuff like that, that it's like, he just paints such a broad stroke of how the lived experience is for so many people that I can't with this book. It's just, again, I can't decide if I'm donating it or if it's going to the banished books shelf. I haven't decided, because again, with the Christian thing, that's kind of my teetering point of like, do I just toss it out? And like, I mean, I don't throw it away, I donate them, but still. So it's one of those where I'm like, I don't know, but it's also stuff like that I'm just like, I don't really believe that. And like, witchcraft books will tell you like how to protect yourself against that kind of a thing, and he's just like, just don't do it. Just don't let those words affect you. Just don't. You'll be fine. And that's not really how that works either. That is my thoughts on this book. Hopefully it made some coherent sense. Again, I'm sick. I feel like crap. And I've been gone for a week, so I'm still coming back to reality. But I wanted to pick a quick and easy book. I'm still reading through The Green Witch. That'll probably be the next one that I talk about. But I didn't get as much reading done as I had hoped when I was gone, so we're just kind of playing catch up today. But anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Is it one that you really enjoy? Is it one that you were recommended at some point on the craft, and then you're like, you know what, not for me? I would love to hear from you and your thoughts on this one in the comments down below. Again, thank you to my patrons. I will have their names here on the screen, and I will have an update of why I was gone over there. So if you want to see why I have been MIA for a week, it is over there. Make sure to like and subscribe. I post every single day except when I get called away unexpectedly and I have nothing planned and prepared, because I usually record and edit the same day that it goes up. So next year I'm gonna try and do better about that. But anyways, typically I will post every single day. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and blessed be.